Hello, Retail Department of 2020. Welcome to Grand Teton Lodge Company and welcome to Grand Teton National Park. And of course, welcome back to our returners. We are going to go over a few things on what you need to know for a successful summer. What we will learn today. We're going to go over some introductions, store operations and expectations, brand standards audit versus a National Park Service audit, safety, and our commitment to zero. Where are we? The retail department consists of 11 stores located in the Jenny Lake area, Jackson Lake Lodge, as well as a few at Coulter Bay. For the 2020 season, we will be operating only 4 stores. We will be at the South Jenny Lake store, the Coulter Bay Convenience Store, the Coulter Bay Gift Shop, and the Coulter Bay Grocery Store. If you are unfamiliar of any of these locations, please take a drive around, check them out, check in with your fellow retail department employees, and explore a little bit. We want you to get to know all of the merchandise that we sell, and a great way to do that is to enjoy some of the spaces that we operate. We also have 3 warehouse locations for restocking retail items. So this does not include grocery. That is an entirely separate thing that you will go over in the grocery store for those of you who are working there. We have a main warehouse at Jackson Lake Lodge and 2 secondary warehouses located at Coulter Bay. First is our 007 warehouse, which is over by the Employee Village area. And at the Coulter Bay Gift Shop, we have a basement warehouse where we restock a lot for that store, as well as the grocery store and the convenience store. Who are we? Our year-round team. There are 6 of us who incorporate the year-round team, which means that we live here in Grand Teton National Park pretty much all year round. We have Wyatt Bradford, who is our Director of Retail. He is also our sporting goods buyer, so for all those camping enthusiasts out there, he is the one to talk to about specific merchandise. We have Katrina Thompson, who is our Assistant Director of Retail. She also purchases for the art, gift, and souvenir departments, so pretty much the entire Coulter Bay gift shop are the sections that she oversees. We have Jessie Clements, who is our apparel buyer, which includes outdoor and activewear as well as all logoed apparel. So all those t-shirts that say Grand Teton National Park, that's her. Amanda Wood, who is our retail operations manager. Amanda oversees the general warehouse operations, so she's the one to talk to if you're looking to restock items. She is also the one who enters all of your time. So if you're looking to get paid, she's the person you need to talk to if there's anything incorrect with your paycheck or if you have any questions about how the time clock works. She's the expert. Corinne Gardner is our assistant buyer. Corinne has great knowledge in all the different departments that we purchase for. She helps Jessie, Katrina, and Wyatt with a lot of purchase orders and some selection of items. And she has been the Jackson Lake Lodge store manager for a few years and is now with us year-round. So she also has great knowledge of the registers and how the stores work from an operations standpoint. And John Wentworth. Sorry, John, didn't have a picture for you at the time that I put this together, but John is going to be our grocery operations manager. He is coming from the South Jenny store and has been with us for a few years, I would say. So he has great knowledge over the grocery as well as general store operations. So feel free to reach out to any of us if you have any questions or concerns or would just like to chat and get to know us better. All right, store operations. We're going to go over some general expectations of the store, what your season may look like. A few things may be a little bit different depending on what store you're in. So please speak with your seasonal manager if you do have any questions, if anything changes between what we go over here and what they may train you on. So some of the essentials are uniforms, scheduling, clocking in and out, breaks and meals, professional conduct, and the store presentation. Uniforms. So we have a few pieces of uniform that we do provide and a couple that we don't provide. The mandatory uniform pieces are the short-sleeved, logoed navy blue polo, which we do provide, the dark gray slacks, which we also provide, a name tag for you with your name on it is also provided, closed-toed shoes, sorry, we do not provide those, you got to bring your own, and a hat or hair covering. This one really just applies to the deli and barista employees only. We do provide or prefer a solid color or Grand Teton National Park logoed hat and no beanies, just baseball hats only. Some optional personal additions, if you'd like to spice it up a little bit, is a sweater or a clean jacket. It could get a little chilly in some of the stores, especially the grocery store, just tends to be a little bit colder. The South Jenny store, we have the doors open later in the season, can be a little chilly. Great, put a layer on. We want you to be comfortable. We do not allow hoodies, either pullover or zip up, so please no hoodies, but a crew neck sweater or a clean jacket is great. If you would like to use a company provided jacket, that's fine too. We do have a few available. So if you would like one of those, just talk to your seasonal manager and he or she will acquire that for you. A long sleeve shirt, you can wear that underneath your polo if you would like to. Just make sure it coordinates with the navy blue and gray theme that we have going on. And dark gray slacks. If you would like to wear your own pants, that's totally fine. I understand sometimes they fit better, you're just a little more comfortable in them than the provided company ones. Just make sure that they match or at least look very similar to the gray slacks that are provided. If you're unsure, once again, just talk to your seasonal manager. They can clarify for you. And of course, other accessories. If you want to change it up a little bit, add a little personality, we would love for you to. That includes jewelry and scarves, other things of the sort. If you're not sure if what you have or would like to wear is appropriate to match the uniform or is just appropriate in general, once again, just talk to your manager. Provides a lot of clarification if you just open up a conversation about the uniform. So out of these 10 pictures here, what do you think is acceptable to wear while you're on the job? You guess these 5? You are correct. So the dark gray slacks in the top left there are very similar to what we will be providing you as a uniform. The button-up crew cardigan is great as an extra layer. Looks good, good color choice. Definitely an okay addition to the uniform. The provided logoed navy blue polo there on the top right. The crew neck sweater in the bottom left, yeah, absolutely, you can wear that. We just really want to see that collar of the uniform shirt sticking out so that other people know that you have that uniform on, and then of course move your name tag to the outside of that layer so that people can see who you are and know that you're an employee here. And you can wear gray jeans, just make sure that they are not too faded, they don't have any tears or rips or holes in them, and that they look fairly similar to the provided slacks. Once again, if you are unsure, talk to your manager. As far as not appropriate clothing, these 5. So we really don't want to see any hoodies, as I mentioned before, zip up or pull over. No leggings either, even if they're in gray in color. Just, leggings don't really convey professionalism that we're trying to go for here. I know that they're super comfy and a lot of people really enjoy wearing them, but just stick to the slacks or a personal pair of dark gray jeans. Blue jeans, if you're wearing the company provided polo and the uniform, blue jeans are not okay. We want you to be in those gray pants once again. And skirts. Look, I don't really recommend wearing a skirt, but if you prefer it, go for it. Just make sure it is gray in color and that it is knee length or longer. I think that they can get in the way a little bit of going up and down the ladders, the stairs, lifting, bending, and twisting. So just make sure that they're of an appropriate length and the right color if you do prefer to wear a skirt. All right, shoes. Shoes we get so many questions on. It's tough, right? There's a lot of different types of shoes out there. So hopefully these pictures will help you out. And if you have any questions about what you might be able to wear, feel free to talk to your seasonal manager or your own staff member for clarification. So out of these images, what do you think is okay to wear? If you guessed these guys, you are correct. Clean hiking shoes or a type of dress shoe, absolutely okay. We want you to be comfortable as you're walking around. You're going to be on your feet for pretty much the entire 8 hours of your shift, so pick a comfortable shoe. Tennis shoe slides, those are okay as well, as long as they're nice and clean. Flats, great. Dress shoes, great. Mules are also okay, and also a small heel with a closed toe is fine. I don't necessarily recommend wearing heels, but if you have a really comfy pair, go for it. As far as things that are not acceptable, these ones, right? Flip-flops, absolute no-no. 1, not very professional looking. 2, not very safety oriented. Things could stub your toe, you could lose a shoe, you could trip on them. I know I've tripped on them a few times, but no flip-flops. Dirty hiking boots? No. You may be out and about right before your shift, doing a nice little hike around the lake, something like that. That's awesome. Just change your shoes before you come into work. Sports sandals like Chacos or Tevas or some other brands similar to that, not okay as well. We want to make sure you have closed-toe professional shoes that are safety-oriented. As far as higher heels, once again, probably a no. If you're unsure, once again, about any shoe, talk to your seasonal manager. As far as a tennis shoe, even a clean tennis shoe, a little bit of a question mark there, kind of like these Vans high tops that you see in the bottom center. Talk to your seasonal manager about those shoes if you have questions about what you may have brought. Just sort of depends on what they look like and how they're presented in the uniform space. Hygiene, definitely a part of uniforms. This one's pretty cut and dry, everybody. Make sure you're clean, well presented, you smell good, shirts are tidy. If you're wearing an overshirt or an undershirt, make sure it's free of wrinkles, free of dog hair. I personally have that problem sometimes, so I feel ya. If there is an issue with any type of hygiene standards, you'll be approached individually. However, make sure to shower after that big hike before you come into work. Name tags. Have to wear a name tag. We want to know who you are. The customer wants to know who you are. Make sure that they are visible at all times. Put it on the outside of your jacket or your sweater. If you are a little chilly that day, not a problem. Just make sure you always have it on. It's a required piece of your uniform. All right, scheduling. So a typical work week, and I have an asterisk here because this work week layout is subject to change and may be different depending on staffing needs, business levels, etc. Definitely talk to your seasonal manager if you have any concerns about this. But for the most part, everybody's work week will look like 40 hours, 5 days on, 2 days off. Everybody will be trained as an opening, a mid, and a closing shift. Not necessarily you're going to do all of these every single week. Depends on personal preferences and how kind of the scheduling just breaks down, but you will be trained in all of them in case you do need to cover for somebody. And if you do have any specific scheduling requests, they should be made to your seasonal manager. Please be courteous to your fellow employees. If you are unable to make a shift due to illness, please notify your manager or supervisor as soon as possible, ideally at least 1 hour before your shift. This 1 hour timeline here is really to help out the people who are currently working or planning to go in. Say, for example, you're supposed to open the store for that day, you should be there at 7 a.m., and you wake up and just feel absolutely terrible. Try to let your manager know before 6, that way they have a chance to find somebody to come in and cover for you, whether it be themselves or another coworker. It's not really very fun to show up to work thinking you're going to be there with 2 other people and all of a sudden you're there by yourself. We want to make sure that you're helping out each other so you can create a nice and courteous work environment. If you would like to switch shifts, totally fine. Absolutely. Sometimes you want to go on a big backpacking trip. You can switch a shift to make that happen. Just make sure to confirm with your supervisor or your manager, as well as that coworker that's covering your shift. We have seen this a few times where the employee who's trying to switch the shift has not confirmed or has confirmed, and that coworker just totally forgot to write it down. Nobody talked to a supervisor. Lo and behold, you didn't show up for your shift that you thought was covered. Your supervisor or your manager is going to give you a call and probably not be too happy with you. So make sure you're over communicating, that everybody knows, and write it down on the schedule. Failure to follow these guidelines may result in a termination. It really just depends how many times it happens. We don't want you guys to go with a no-call, no-show so many times that you're just no longer a reliable employee. So if things come up, because hey, it's life, things come up, make sure to communicate with your supervisor or your manager in a timely fashion. Time clock. Let's get you paid for your time. Make sure to punch in and out for each shift and meal. Make sure to write down each punch on your store's timesheet. This is so that we have a second record of the time that you've worked. Every once in a while, that time clock just freaks out, doesn't work, a punch is missed, I don't know. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes you forget to punch in. It's okay. Make sure to just write it down on your store's timesheet. We want to make sure you're paid accurately. Also, make sure to use the time clock nearest your work area. There's a few around property, right? We have some in the employee cafeteria, in the EDR, we have some in the housekeeping office, we have them down at the marina. You want to use the one that's in your store. Also, make sure not to punch in more than 5 minutes before your scheduled shift. If you've gotten it approved by your manager to come in to cover for somebody, totally fine to punch in more than that if it's not on the schedule. It just needs to be confirmed with your supervisor or manager. What we don't want to see happen is for an employee to show up, they're 30 minutes ahead of schedule, they clock in, they sit down, they fix their hair, they make sure their uniform's all nice and tidy, they drink their coffee, check out Instagram for a little bit. Nope, don't want that happening, right? We want you to show up ready to work, which is what that 5 minutes beforehand looks like. Also, make sure to keep track of your hours. If something does not look correct on your paycheck, speak with your manager and Amanda Wood. Remember, Amanda does all the time for everybody. Make sure the paychecks are correct. If there's an issue, talk with either of them. Breaks and meals. You are permitted to 2 15-minute breaks per each 6 hours of work. And you don't need to clock out for these breaks. We'll pay you to step out and take a breather, all right? Just make sure that you plan your breaks accordingly. Talk to your coworkers if there seems to be a backup of break time. We don't want everybody vacating the sales floor at the same time. Make sure you take a break when the store is slow or there's downtime. Don't leave your fellow coworkers hanging, right? They don't want everybody to piece out of there and all of a sudden you're the only person hanging out in the store. Not a good look, especially if there's a rush that comes in. And with a rush coming in while you're on your break, be willing to step back on the floor if things pick up. You can make up for that missed 5 minutes at a later time when it's a little more appropriate. Also, make sure to let your supervisor or manager know that you're taking a break, as well as your coworkers. Communicate with each other. Make a schedule if you need to, whatever works for your store. Just make sure everybody knows where you're at during your break. Lunch and dinner, also breakfast, are 30 minutes for each 8-hour shift. Very rarely will you be scheduled to work through 2 meals. So if there's a meal time before your shift, make sure to eat before you come in. Say, for instance, you're scheduled to work at 12:30, go and eat beforehand and show up to work at 12:30 so that you can cover the meal of the person that's been there since the morning. We want to give them a chance. They're waiting on you to get there so they can go have their lunch. Just be courteous to each other. Talk with your coworkers and supervisor or manager to schedule in meal times at the start of your shift. Just want to make sure that you all communicate with each other so that no one's angry if you expected to be out at the same time or made plans with friends to go eat with them. So make sure to figure that out at the start of your shift. And once again, make sure to clock out for each meal. All right, professional conduct, external and internal customer service. External being our guests that come and enjoy a wonderful stay with us here, and internal means to each other as coworkers and employees. So guests are greeted when they enter the store as they walk into other store sections. So for instance, the Coulter Bay gift shop is pretty big. You may be in the back area by the camping. Somebody may walk in the front. They're greeted by someone who's up there in the gift section. They walk to the back, acknowledge their presence. Nobody likes being ignored when they walk into a store. Store phones are definitely answered by the third ring. At least do your best to do so. And make sure to answer in this specific way. Thank you for calling the Coulter Bay gift shop. This is Jessie. How may I help you? Pretty simple, right? Acknowledge the store you're calling, who you are, and ask to help them out. Sometimes people don't know which store they're calling because they're being transferred from our PBX station, or they think they're calling one store and they've asked for a different one. So help them out. Address guests by their name whenever possible. One, it's great to ask everybody what their name is. Sometimes it doesn't come up naturally in conversation though. So if you get the chance to ask them their name, maybe you see their credit card, I don't know, however you may see it, make sure to address them by their name. Anticipate needs by asking questions. This is a big one. Say, for instance, somebody comes up to you and they ask you where the water bottles are. Show them where the reusable ones are. Awesome. But maybe you ask them if they're going on a hike and they say yes. Ask them where. Oh, they're doing the Lakeshore Trail hike. Wow, that's a beautiful hike, right? But doesn't look like they have bear spray. Do they have bear spray? They do not. They probably need bear spray. And there you go, you've just upselled into one, a great purchase for that customer who's going to feel much better hiking that trail, but you've also added on to what would have been just a water bottle. Maybe take it from there, show them where the snacks might be if they haven't picked up a Cliff Bar or maybe sandwiches from the grocery store, whatever it may be, but anticipate their needs by asking questions of the products that they're purchasing. Upsell and cross-sell. Upsell is taking one item that is at a lower price point and then upselling to the higher end product of the same genre. Cross-selling is adding products onto a purchase, kind of like the water bottle and bear spray example. These are things that we want to make sure that we do with every single customer, and they'll come more naturally the more familiar you are with our merchandise and the more that you're out on the sales floor. These are things that we'll work on throughout the season. And of course, always convey sincerity and personal concern for the guest. Nobody wants to be treated like they don't matter. We care about our guests, we really do. We want them to have an experience of a lifetime while they're here with us in Grand Teton National Park. So convey that sincerity and personal concern. Liquor sales. This really only applies to the convenience store and the grocery store, but it's good to know for everybody here who's going to be working in the retail department, just in case you have to cover a shift here and there. So IDs must be checked for all alcohol sales, especially if they look under 21. We do get audited on this by the state every once in a while, and it's just great to get in the habit of checking IDs, no matter who it is. Only employees over the age of 21 can sell alcohol, so if you are not 21 and you find yourself behind the register at the convenience store or at the grocery store and somebody comes up with a case of beer, just grab a fellow employee that you know is over the age of 21 that can help you out. And speaking of that, just be willing to assist your coworkers who are under 21. They're going to need your help with this. When selling alcohol to employees, we do ask that they are not in a company branded uniform and remove their name tag. This happens every once in a while. Somebody gets off their shift, they come on in to buy some alcohol for their Friday, their day off, whatever it may be, and they just don't take their name tag off or their uniform without really thinking about it. And that's fine. We just want to remind them to either put a jacket on to cover up that uniform or to take their name tag off. It just doesn't really look very good. People sometimes assume that they're on the clock if they're in uniform. We just want to maintain that professionalism that we've been speaking of with employees who are off the clock as well. So just remind them, take their name tag off or put a jacket on to cover up their uniform. Totally fine. Conflict resolution. This one is pretty important. If you think there may be a theft, call security by dialing 0 and asking for security, and immediately notify your manager. Make note of the customer's description and provide as much detail as possible. Do not follow or chase the customer. This is for your own safety. Always refer to a manager in the case of conflict with a customer. If you feel like something's escalating and you're not really sure how to handle it, grab a supervisor or a manager or a year-round member. Any of us can help you out. If there is a threat or disturbance and you do not feel safe, use your best judgment in calling security or the National Park Service. NPS is basically our police around here, so in any other circumstance in which you would dial 911, do so in that case. Remember, an attentive and courteous staff can help to prevent many unpleasant interactions. All right, a few other points on professional conduct. Cell phones. Absolutely no cell phones on the sales floor. Please do not use your phone in front of guests or in guest areas. If you absolutely must make a phone call or send a text outside of your break time, please step off the floor and out of guest view. Failure to comply with the cell phone policy may result in disciplinary action. Look, I have a cell phone myself. Yes, I get text messages. I want to stay updated on what's going on in the world. I totally get it. Just don't use them on the floor. I don't know why, but every single season we have this problem that we've got cell phones out, our sales associates are texting, they're using phones. Just don't do it. Each disciplinary action, so to say, will be up to the seasonal manager, and it may require putting all phones in a box down in the office or something of the sort. Just don't do it. Have a little self-control, put it away, don't bring it into the work area if you feel like you can't ignore it. Do what you need to, but please just don't use your cell phones while you're on the sales floor. Visitors. right? Friends and family are totally welcome to come visit you while you're at work. However, please don't allow them to linger or hang out while you're on the floor. Take an appropriately timed break if needed. Be aware of the guests around you. They are your first priority. Store presentation. The first impression upon entering a store should be impressive. And this falls into a couple of different categories, including the way merchandise is stocked. Look, the one on the left, definitely stocked, but the one on the right, way more visually pleasing. We want to make sure that everything is stocked in order in a nice, neat fashion so that it's easy to shop. If a customer is frustrated with the way that a store presentation is, they're probably just going to walk out or not give it the effort that it deserves. So make sure that your sections, if you're assigned to one, are nice and neat, definitely fully stocked, and give a nice presentation and look clean and organized. Store presentation also includes cleanliness. The store on the left has very well stocked shelves, nice and organized, looks like a great stocking job, as well as the store on the right. Both great looking shelves. However, the floors, not the same. The one on the left definitely looks like it could use a mop, probably a good scrub, maybe even a floor replacement, who knows. Where the one on the right looks impeccable. We're striving for the one on the right. So make sure that your shelves are dusted, your floors are clean, that things are not out of place, that weird sticky stuff isn't all over the jam in the huckleberry section. Do your best to make sure the store is clean and presentable. Same goes with stocking. Stores don't look that great when the shelves aren't stocked. And hey, if the product's not out, we can't sell it, right? So we want it to look like the one on the right. And this goes for retail items as well as our grocery items. Well stocked, clean, and presentable. As far as what these stores should look like and maybe some of the daily tasks might be involved in keeping things this way, store cleanliness includes surface sanitization, the smell when you're walking in. Have you ever noticed walking into a store and thinking, wow, what a great smelling candle? And then you go searching for that candle, or maybe you walk in and think, there's kind of a strange smell in here. That's really not what we want. We want the first one. Dusting, definitely need to keep things dusted. It happens. There's a lot of products, and a lot of products with clear surfaces or flat surfaces that do tend to collect dust. So do some good rounds throughout the day. Sweeping, mopping, vacuuming, those things are all going to be included in daily activities. Window cleaning, and etc. Any other things that might need to happen with store cleanliness. As far as stocking and merchandising, safety first. Keep the pathways clear. Make sure that it looks organized and is visually appealing. All right, brand standards versus National Park Service audits, or NPS audits. What are brand standards? Brand standards are a way of codifying the expectations that our guests have as a Vail Resorts property. Each department is audited on these standards twice a season by a third party or secret shopper. Each department has a specific set of brand standards that they are expected to uphold. There are specific, as I said, retail brand standards, many of which we've already gone over, including the impression upon entering the store should be impressive. Staff are knowledgeable and effective sales representatives. Uniforms and grooming. Be warm, welcoming, hospitable. Convey sincerity and personal concern for the guest. Anticipate needs and initiate assistance and service to the guest. And sales transactions are handled properly. A lot of these will go into more detail as we train you in your individual stores, but don't worry, this is all covered in all of our trainings. If you're just a courteous employee who is working to the standards that have been set by your managers, you'll be just fine with a retail brand standards audit. So what's a National Park Service audit? A National Park Service audit is conducted by the National Park Service in coordination with our concessionaire contract. The categories in which we are audited vary from building upkeep, product knowledge, store cleanliness, to correctly priced items. Each department is expected to comply with their own categories. Many of these overlap between departments and with our brand standards, so you're in luck. This is what a Park Service audit sheet looks like, including all the different sections that we're graded on. This one specifically is from one of our stores from the 2018 season. As you can see, it's very specific and very detailed, and a lot of these are not anything that a seasonal employee or sales associate will need to worry about. A lot of them do fall under year-round maintenance. However, we want to make sure you're aware of some of the important ones. And so we will go over the National Park Service standards in more detail for your specific store location, and make sure that you are aware of what might happen. These Park Service audits happen twice a year, just like a brand standards audit. However, the auditor will make themselves known and will be escorted by a year-round member. There are some overlapping categories. Some expectations overlap with our brand standards, but can be more detailed. You also may be asked a few questions by the auditor about product selection and/or knowledge in your store. The impact of these audits are very important to our relationship with the Park Service, so we do take them very seriously. And as I said, you'll learn more about your store-specific brand standards and National Park Service expectations during hands-on store training. All right, health and safety. We will go over COVID-19 operations, slips, trips, and falls, lifting, bending, and twisting. Make sure to refer to your specific store's COVID-19 operations manual on the details of what each operation means. Most likely you've already done this training. If so, awesome. If you don't really remember what the training was, refer to it again. It should be in your email. And if you haven't seen it yet, we will absolutely go over it in person. You will go over it yourself, and we will go over it during on-hands store training. Slips, trips, and falls. Let's see what we can do to prevent some of these very common injuries in the retail workplace. Your work area. Make sure to wear appropriate slip-resistant shoes. Slow down to negotiate turns, corners, obstacles, and areas of limited visibility. Call out if you can't see all the way around the corner. Say, "Corner!" Keep workspace and walkways clean, clear, and well lit for you and your visitors. Wet floors. Clean up wet areas and spills immediately. Make sure signs warn others of danger of wet surfaces when mopping. Use caution in areas where wet floors are likely. Entrances, restrooms, and mopped floors. Parking lot and grounds. Stay alert for uneven surfaces. Watch for curbs and potholes when moving between vehicles. Assume there is ice if the temperature is close to freezing. Slow down and take short strides. And trust me, there's still ice in June. Stairs. Take only one step at a time. Keep one hand free to grasp the handrail. And limit your load to make sure your vision is not obstructed. Cords. Do not allow electrical cords or other objects to extend across a walkway. Tie up any cords that might pose a trip hazard. Tape down or secure cords temporarily located in traffic areas. Ladders. Stand on a ladder instead of a chair, table, bucket, or box. Use the correct ladder for the job. Never step on the top platform of any ladder, including a stepladder. We definitely have some common retail hazards that we're going to see more often than not, including electrical cords, from vacuums, even around the register areas, unkept aisleways and warehouse spaces. Make sure, especially in the warehouses, that boxes are pushed to the side or up on shelving, and that there aren't loose pieces of cardboard or packaging material left on the ground. Spills. These are very common in the grocery area, but we do get them in retail spaces as well. Make sure that if you see a slippery surface, seeing that something has spilled, that you clean it up right away or get help from another employee. Staircases and ladders are also very common in our day-to-day in the retail department. Make sure to use these things appropriately, including the handrails and definitely ladders. With the ladder use, make sure to follow manufacturer instructions and ladder labels. Face the ladder while climbing up or down. Keep slippery materials away from the ladders. Use a barricade to keep traffic away if necessary. Only put ladders on a stable, level surface. And always maintain 3 points of contact, 2 hands and a foot, or 2 feet and a hand. And hey, check for and avoid overhead power lines. Doesn't really apply to us, but you get the idea. Lifting, bending, and twisting. These 3 things happen all day, almost every day, in our retail department. Some lifting do's and don'ts. Do lift as a team. Do lift bulky or heavy loads as a team, doing so is smart and the safe way to work. Or, if the object is too heavy to lift with one other person at a safe and healthy distance, make the box a little lighter. It's okay to take 2 trips. Do turn with your legs. Do move your legs and feet when turning or lowering the load. Avoid twisting at your waist. Do use your legs. Do lift the load using your powerful legs and buttocks muscles. Your feet should be wide apart, head and back upright. Keep abdominal muscles tight and the load in close. Do use equipment. Do use equipment like hand trucks, dollies, or forklifts to do the heavy lifting. It's much less work and less risk of injury. Don't lift bulky loads alone. Don't lift bulky loads or heavy loads alone. Doing so puts great stress on your low back muscles and spine. Don't twist when lifting. Don't twist when lifting, lowering, or carrying any load, as this increases your risk of back injury. Don't use your back. Don't lift the load with your rear end high and your head low. Use your leg muscles, not your weaker low back muscles. Don't lift heavy loads. Don't lift heavy loads when you can use equipment. It is less work and less stress on your low back. These are all things to really help prevent long-term injury and short-term injury for your time here with us at Grand Teton Launch Company. And if you have suffered an injury at work, please report it to your manager as soon as possible. Our commitment to zero. Zero waste by 2030. In 2017, Vail Resorts pledged to be zero net emissions by 2030 as a whole. At Grand Teton Lodge Company, we have begun in many ways to do our part, including the retail department. In 2019, the Jackson Lake Lodge Retail Warehouse was certified by TRUE, the Total Resource Use and Efficiency, administered by GBCI, Green Business Certifications Incorporated, as a zero-waste facility. We achieved a 92.1% diversion rate in 2019, and we plan to increase that diversion by 1% for the 2020 season. What does that mean for other retail locations? Eventually, we would like to expand the certification to all of our outlets. It's a big deal and a really great accomplishment. I am so proud of our warehouse team from the past 3 years who did all of the work to make sure that this certification happened. So, in our other outlets, what can we do? We can make sure we continue proper recycling, have a reduction of single-use items, come up with creative ideas for waste reduction and upcycling, and determine a baseline for all outgoing waste. This last one may not happen at all locations for 2020, but we will try for any and all who are willing. If you would like to read the full case study for our zero waste certification, you can find it here. Hey, thank you so much for watching this entire video. We really appreciate it. There's going to be a lot of important information from this that you're going to use on a daily basis, and I hope that you're able to retain and understand the majority of it. Feel free to watch the video again if you'd like, or ask your manager or year-round hiring manager if you have any questions or need clarification on any of the content that we covered. Also, make sure to take the quiz that is located in your email that this link was provided so that you can show us what you learned and that we can record the time that it took you to take this quiz. Once again, thank you. I look forward to an awesome 2020 season, and I hope you do too.